I'm a single mother to my son Mark. He's 8 now, but he was 5 when this happened. I was 27. I own a small house passed down by my grandparents on a quiet street full of older neighbors. We still live there today, which makes this story even harder to forget. It was Christmas time, and Mark and I were out shopping at the mall. We visited clothing stores and a hardware store where I bought my dad a gift. Once we were done, I took Mark to McDonald's for burgers and ice cream, making it a simple but happy day. As we left through the south exit, we ran into a mall Santa standing outside. He waved and said the usual cheerful things, then knelt down to Mark's level and asked what he wanted for Christmas. Mark held my hand tighter, but the man seemed harmless. Mark told him he wanted a Nintendo Switch, which I was already planning to buy. Santa laughed and said maybe if he was good. He looked up at me and winked. I smiled politely, brushing it off as innocent holiday behavior. Santa stood up and joked to Mark, saying, "Your mother's a looker." Mark laughed, not knowing what it meant. I still smiled, though something felt slightly uncomfortable. We chatted briefly about Christmas stress, and I joked about needing Santa's help. That's when he mentioned the song I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. Then he leaned toward me, offering his cheek. I went to give an innocent peck on the fake beard, but suddenly he turned his head, trying to kiss me on the lips. I pulled away just in time. The move was aggressive and unsettling. His cheerful act vanished for a split second. I grabbed Mark's hand and told him we were leaving. Santa shouted "Merry Christmas" as we walked away. As we drove past the mall's back exit, I noticed Santa was no longer out front. I ignored the uneasy feeling. Once home, I locked the door, unpacked our bags, and put on a Christmas movie. I tried to relax, then the doorbell rang. It was late. I asked who it was without opening the door. A man replied, "It's Santa." My heart dropped. I told him to leave and said I'd call the police if he didn't. He claimed I dropped something at the mall and just wanted to return it. When I asked what it was, he said he'd show me if I opened the door. I demanded again that he leave. He wouldn't answer. I called the mall's management office. They told me they don't officially hire mall Santas. Whoever it was had been acting on their own. That information made my stomach turn. I suddenly felt watched in my own home. A few minutes later, I went to the kitchen and raised the blinds slightly. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but I heard a man outside yelling, "Ho, ho, ho!" I froze. He was still there, watching. I called the police immediately. They came, took a report, and searched the area. The man was gone. I felt safer, but still shaken. A few nights later, around the same time, my doorbell rang again. Mark was already asleep. I turned off the TV and went upstairs instead of answering. The bell didn't ring again. I stayed upstairs all night. The next morning, as I left for work, I saw a note taped to my door. The note was typed and printed. It said he didn't mean to scare me, blamed hormones, and said my son and I were the cutest people ever. He claimed we had a connection, and admitted he already knew where I lived. He said he just needed my number and left his own, signing it Ted. I took a picture of the note and called the police again. With the phone number, they said they could take action. That Monday, a detective called and told me Ted would not be contacting me again. If he did, I was to report it immediately. I never heard from him again. Whatever the police said clearly worked. This next story comes from my early childhood. I grew up in a middle-class suburban home and loved Christmas. I was about 6 when this happened, just after my family moved into a new house. On Christmas Eve, I couldn't sleep. I stayed up late playing a Star Wars game on my PS1. When I needed the bathroom, I snuck out quietly so my parents wouldn't hear me sneaking around. As I returned to my room, I heard the Christmas tree rustling downstairs. I thought it might be Santa. I slowly walked down the stairs and peeked into the living room. Someone was holding a flashlight near the tree. I saw a black bag on the floor. A grown man stepped out from behind the tree and saw me. He put his finger to his lips, shushing me, and whispered, "Yes, I'm Santa." I knew instantly he wasn't Santa. I screamed for my parents. The man panicked, grabbed what he could, and ran out the front door. Moments later, my parents rushed downstairs. The bag he left behind was filled with our Christmas ornaments and gifts. My dad later told me the man had broken in through the back door with a crowbar. A nearby house was robbed the same way. I don't remember many things from being 6, but this memory stuck with me vividly. Even now, it feels as real as if it happened yesterday. In December 2020, my fiancé and I bought a house in a quiet neighborhood. 2 years later, something disturbing happened. We knew all our neighbors, including Paul, a quiet man who lived next door. Paul always seemed polite but distant. One week, his car hadn't moved and his blinds stayed shut. His Christmas lights flickered wildly at night, not in a decorative way, but glitchy and erratic. I went to check on him. When he opened the door, he seemed off. As we spoke, I heard what sounded like a child screaming inside his house. Paul didn't have kids. I left immediately and told my fiancé to call the police. Officers arrived and found a young boy locked in Paul's basement. He'd been missing for days and kidnapped from another town. The child had managed to flicker the Christmas lights from the basement to attract attention. He was reunited with his family. Paul went to prison and won't be leaving anytime soon. One final story. I was home alone when my girlfriend Jenny came over. We watched Christmas movies, drank wine, and relaxed. When we ran out of wine, I went to the liquor store nearby. Later, we both heard a loud thud beneath the floor. I checked the crawl space with a flashlight. It smelled like urine. I thought it was an animal and closed it quickly. That night, I woke up and looked down the hallway. I saw a human silhouette. I quietly locked the door as someone tried the handle and said hello in a deep voice. We called the police. Whoever it was escaped. In the crawl space, officers found human urine. The smell wasn't imagined. Someone had been living under our home. To this day, I never forget to lock my doors. Christmas is supposed to feel warm, safe, and familiar. But every story you just heard proves how easily that comfort can be twisted. Sometimes danger doesn't break in loudly. It smiles, waits, watches, and wears a costume you trust. What makes these stories terrifying isn't just what happened, but when it happened. During moments meant for family, joy, and peace. Moments when our guards are down and our instincts are questioned. Whether it was a mall Santa, a silent neighbor, a stranger under the floor, or someone hiding behind a Christmas tree. Each story leaves the same reminder. Evil doesn't take holidays off. These experiences never fully leave you. They shape how tightly you lock your doors, how closely you watch your children, and how quickly you listen to your gut when something feels wrong. So if something ever feels off, no matter how harmless it looks, trust that feeling. Because the scariest part of these stories isn't what we saw. It's what almost happened. As the years pass, the fear fades, but the lessons remain. Christmas lights still glow, songs still play, but there's always a quiet awareness beneath it all. A reminder that safety is never guaranteed, only protected. Each survivor carries their story differently. Some lock doors twice, some check windows every night. Some never look at Santas, neighbors, or dark hallways the same way again. These weren't monsters from movies. They were real people, hiding in plain sight, relying on politeness, disbelief, and silence to protect them. That's what makes them truly dangerous. And yet every story here also carries something else. Instinct. A pause, a second thought, a decision to scream, to call, to walk away instead of being polite. Looking back, I realize how fragile the illusion of safety can be. One moment you're enjoying a holiday, laughing with your child or partner, and the next, someone is exploiting that trust for their own dark intentions. Mark and I survived the mall Santa incident because I trusted my instincts. The kidnapped boy survived because someone noticed the lights. Jenny and I survived the intruder in the crawl space because we stayed alert and called for help immediately. These experiences teach you that horror doesn't always come in the form of monsters or movie villains. Often, it comes in the form of ordinary people hiding secrets, testing boundaries, and counting on your hesitation. The memories never completely fade, but they do teach resilience. They remind you to stay vigilant, trust your gut, and never assume danger is impossible, especially during moments you think are safe. At the end of the day, these stories are about survival, instincts, and awareness. The holidays can be magical, but magic doesn't protect you from reality. And sometimes awareness is the greatest gift you can give yourself and your loved ones. Looking back, what ties all these stories together isn't the horror itself. It's the feeling of being watched, of safety shattered in the places we trust most. Homes, neighborhoods, even holiday events can hide danger behind a smile or a closed door. But there's a lesson in every terrifying moment. Awareness, caution, and trusting your instincts can save lives. Mark and I, the kidnapped boy, Jenny and I, we all survived because someone didn't ignore the warning signs. Christmas, family, and joy can coexist with fear. The key is vigilance. Even in moments meant for warmth, laughter, and celebration, there can be shadows waiting to exploit our trust. Remember this: danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits quietly, observing, testing boundaries, and counting on hesitation. Staying alert isn't paranoia, it's survival. And though these memories are chilling, they are also reminders of resilience. Survival is about listening, acting, and protecting those you love. Fear doesn't have to paralyze. It can empower. Every story here, from the mall Santa to the basement intruder, leaves a mark. They show that evil can hide behind ordinary faces and familiar places. But they also show that awareness, courage, and quick action can turn fear into survival. Even years later, these memories linger. Faint shadows over holidays, quiet warnings in the back of your mind. They remind us that the world is not always safe, but vigilance can make all the difference. Surviving these moments doesn't make us heroes, it makes us human. We feel fear, but we act. We feel uncertainty, but we protect. And we remember, so others can learn and stay alert too. The lessons of these experiences go beyond Christmas, beyond home, beyond childhood. They are lessons in trust, instincts, and paying attention to what feels off, no matter how harmless it seems at first. So, as the holidays come and go, as decorations fade and lights dim, carry these stories as reminders. Joy and vigilance can coexist. Stay alert, protect your loved ones, and trust your instincts, because sometimes that's what keeps you alive.